Hello, friends. Many years ago, I read a book called The Red Lion, The Elixir of Eternal Life by a woman called Maria Shepes. I can't quite pronounce it correctly. And it was one of the recommended books on Dr. Joe Dispenza's book list or recommended books book list. And so I read it, and even though in the beginning I'm like, what? So it's about a man who basically goes through life after life, and he's conscious during the whole thing. It's not like he goes unconscious. And it's kind of his evolution and awakening journey. Very, very powerful book. But there is one thing that stood out to me and still does. I still remember that at times. And it was when the man came to a certain place or a time in his unfolding or awakening that he realized that he could create his own reality, something like that. And he actually created something that turned out to be a monster, more or less. That was not in his best interest. And, we can all look at that, the things that we have created. Maybe that was not such a great thing. But that was part of that story. And then the realization was, well, if I created it, I must also be able to uncreate it. I want to just let that land in you or drop in and just think about the things in your life, if it is indeed true that we are creating our own reality. And I believe that it definitely is, because in truth, there is only us here, and we are the expression and the creation from every experience we have. And we have been very, very unconscious about it. We have been, snoozing through this experience for so long, where we see ourselves as victims of life. And life is being done to us, right? Things are done to us, and that creates a lot of fear. Yes, you guessed it. The fear thing again. Because we're victims. We don't know what's going to happen, and we need to protect ourselves from that. So our whole nervous system, our whole body, it's like built on this fear, contraction experience, because we have forgotten that we are the creators. And that message in the Red Lion, I think it's so powerful. Just think about this for a moment. If you realize, or when you realize, that everything in your life is basically your own creations, like, think about how powerful you are. You may not like it, but that doesn't mean you're not powerful, because you did create it. And since you have the power to create it, of course you have the same power to uncreate it and put that creative power into something else. Now that we are conscious, we can do a much better job. Just because we had this, hood over our head, and we didn't know what was up or down, but the creative energy of who we are, that cannot be stopped. The fact that it goes through this filter or this hood or this veil, that of course is not real, but it is the illusionary veil that makes it seem real. That doesn't mean that creation is not happening, but it is happening through this veil, these beliefs that we have about ourselves and of the world. And so many of us these days are really working hard to change that. And I applaud to all of us, because we have been in a long, long slumber. And it's not easy to wake up from it all, is it? We we work a little bit here and then we see a little light, but then there's all then this darkness and this delusion. And so it's a big thing because we are in this dream state where everything is an illusion. And this illusion apparently is mostly fueled, well, by fear, as I always talk about, by fearful suggestions and by limitations and by struggling and pain and disease. That is the veil. So we have created that experience based on our unconscious creative powers. Luckily, we are waking up a little bit at a time. We are becoming more conscious. And in that becoming more conscious, we realize that, oh, I don't like that. I thought that this is just how it is, that I can't change it. I just have to deal with it or accept it or, suffer under it. But now that we're beginning to realize that there's more to the story. And of course, that's the beauty that so many of us are realizing. And then we go to all these amazing teachers that are out there, Dr. Joe Dispenza being one of them, who recommended the book I mentioned. That's where a lot of us really start embodying and accepting the fact that we are our own creators. And not that he's the only teacher, there's so many, and we have to find our own flavor that resonates with those teachings so we can take it in and start applying it. Now, if you have come to the place where you realize that, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't know how I got myself into this. There are some deep beliefs, like I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me, nobody likes me. I know those really well, and they're not fun. And at a certain point, it's like, that sucks. I don't want to live like that. And then there must be another way, right? That's many times that, like, there must be more than this. That's for many people where they go like, hmm. And then we start going within, and then we start meeting the beliefs that we have, the conditions we grew up under that seemed like the real thing, the traumas, the fears, all these things. Now we go in to start clearing out all that gunk, the smear, the lies, all that stuff. So we need to go in so we can actually clear the windshield. I did a few videos on that a while ago. I think it's called Clear the Smear or something, clearing the windshield, because the windshield is blocking the purity of our creative powers. We're still creating, but it's not coming out in a way that we want it because it's coming through an unconscious smear on our windshield. And we need to clear it. It's basically that simple, but it's not so easy because there's a lot of emotions behind it. There's a lot of shame. There's a lot of unworthiness, and we're not sure how to deal with that because it seems more real than life itself. It's big stuff we're dealing with. But let's just fast forward a little bit for those who are on board with what I'm sharing. If you're not yet, I would definitely encourage you. Well, you could reach out if you wanted to do some work with me, or you can start, listening to any of these incredible teachers who really help us see through the illusion. And there's many of them. So here we are, right? We have created a reality and we don't like it, but I am aware that I am creating my own reality. That's how powerful I am. And in that realization, we need to start realizing that this victim, this sense of being a victim of our circumstances, is the veil. So can we say that our belief in being a victim is what's coloring our whole life expression in a way that we don't like it? So we need to go behind that and start accepting, I would say, that yes, we are the creators. I am a sovereign being and I am the creator. There's nothing that can create my reality, my experience other than myself, based on what kind of slides I have put in front of my projector, my light, what kind of smears are there. So the more I clear those smears, oh, I can start breathing a little deeper. It's like, oh, I feel more empowered. And I really feel that this whole movement from being a victim to coming back into our sovereignty is the journey that we are on. And once we realize that, there comes a realization like, wow, if I created that experience, that behavior from my neighbor, from my who knows what, that this really unkind behavior, if I created that, I wonder what kind of a smear I'm looking through. And that's how the deeper work begins. That's why I've talked a lot about that. It is a mirror. It simply is a mirror of something we have not seen in ourselves. But when we start seeing that and take responsibility for it in a very loving and kind way, not in the beating yourself over your head way, no, then you just get more of that coming to you, but more in a way like, I really want to create an experience where I'm being met with love, where people speak to me with kindness and respect. And then we need to start making that our inner reality so that the harshness that might have been coming to us, we start uncreating that. And in its place comes a much kinder, gentler expression. Maybe you meet new friends. There might be new experiences waiting around the corner because you are now realizing that I don't want to create that anymore, but I have the creative power. I know that. So now I want to know what I can create instead. And of course, that is the steps, of creating a new reality. But I think part of that is, and this has been part of my own journey and still is, to just keep feeling that the power, my sovereignty, that I am the creator. I am creating my reality, and nobody actually can do anything to me unless I keep creating that reality. It's very powerful to start stepping into your true divine sovereignty, where you choose to not let these old behind the scenes suggestions. I talked about it, I think it was yesterday, talking about um, the 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 inner rebel, or the one that keeps getting in your way, right? That is these little um, noises or whispers or suggestions that are here. Once we take a very clear stand, and it's a stand we take from here because we don't want it anymore, and it's something you can feel in your whole body, your whole core will like, you know what? No, I don't want it anymore. So it's very deeply felt. Okay, so what do I want then? And then you just check in with your longing, with your wishes. It's like, oh, I want something like that. Then you literally start uncreating your past creations and start bringing in a whole new way of being. And this is what's happening collectively by those of us, and I'm assuming you are one of us, whatever that is, who is also on that path to bring in a higher frequency, not the victimized ones. My God, how long have we lived as victims, not even knowing it, right? It was like our head was under the water or in the sand, and we were just going along. We didn't even know we had a choice. That's how victimized we've been. It's like, okay, they say this, you want me to do that? The government tells me to do this. My partner wants me to be like this. It's just this, okay, I'll fit in. I'll do what everybody else does. Victim, victim. Do you want to be a victim? Do you want to be a victim? I'm sure you're going to say no when I ask that question, but you have to ask that question inside. Say, do I want to keep behaving like a victim where things are happening to me? I'm the victim of my circumstances. So that's where you find your answer, not out here, not because I say it and you answer me. No, you ask yourself, do I want to be a victim and do what other people tell me to? Or do I want to be a victim to these hypnotic suggestions that keep telling me all this nonsense? That's where you find your power. Because when you say no, you are so in touch with your sovereignty. And it's powerful. And then the more we can stay with that and stay with that, it's like, no, I don't want that. I want peace. I want sovereignty. I want to create a better life. You are you are plugged in to do your divine creative powers. And now you can start uncreating that situation you're in by really connecting to what you really want from a deep sense of love, love for yourself. I want love. I want a loving community where people love me or whatever it is for you. Now you're in your sovereignty. And now it's a matter of staying there and staying there. Every time these hypnotic suggestions want to pull us out, we take back our power. We go back into our sovereignty and say, do I want that? Do I want to be a victim to that? Do I want to be a victim to that fear? Do I want that terrifying thing that's I'm being told about or read about or hear about? Do I want that to run my life? No. And then then the work starts. That's where you might need support to work through all the fear or the beliefs or the victim stories. But once you're clear, you're going to move through it. How else can it be? We are the creators. So whatever we have created that we didn't like, we can uncreate it and create something that really fulfills us and nourishes us and makes us feel loved and joyful. So if you want to join me in that, that would be lovely. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment below. And let me know if you have anything you want to share around it, or if you need support, you're always welcome to reach out. Have a wonderful day, my friends.